Hello, Mr. Naseef. Greetings from Peer Support NITK. Welcome to our podcast series. We are delighted to have you on board to talk about your journey from being a civil engineer to an MBA graduate from IIM Bangalore. I'm sure it would have been an adventurous ride, which we will discuss in a while.
Hey, hi, Vikal. First of all, thanks a lot for having me in this podcast series. I should say it's such a great initiative from Peer Support NITK to help the entire NITK community of students to achieve their goals, their ambitions. Kudos to you and the team for that. It's a pleasure talking to you and the entire NITK community.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir. So, before we start off, it would be great if you could introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, sure. Myself, Naseef KPO. I am currently heading marketing at a company called eCon Systems, which is into producing industrial cameras. I manage a team of 12 plus members and handle multiple marketing functions such as digital marketing, SEO, analytics, branding, and many more. Prior to that, I worked with Hexaware Technologies as a marketing analytics lead. There, my primary responsibility was to analyze marketing data and derive actionable insights out of it. To talk about my educational background, I am a civil engineer, graduated in the year 2014 from College of Engineering Trivandrum, post which I joined IIM Bangalore for my MBA the same year. I graduated from IMB in 2016 and joined Hexaware right away from campus. So that briefly summarizes my professional background. I'll be happy to talk more about myself as we go on.
Right, that's great, sir. Thanks a lot for that introduction. So, as you know, every undergraduate student is presented with this question: how will I know whether MBA is the right choice for my future or not? So, what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, that's right. And even I've been through that phase and I can very well relate to it. And I sort of look at people who might want to do an MBA through two different lenses, if I may put it that way. Either they are looking for
Right.
something outside of engineering, something outside of engineering that they want to pursue, or they're really passionate about what and how businesses work, right? And what I personally tell to both types of people is that if your passion is to become a master coder, or let's say a skilled construction engineer, MBA is not for you, right? And
Yes.
there are, I would say, three basic factors that you need to look at while choosing an MBA. First one is skills and attitude, then interest and passion, and third would be financial viability. Skills and
Yeah.
attitude go together because you need not have all the skills that you need to that you need to have to be a business graduate today, but you should have that attitude and hunger to learn more and more consistently, continuously, to improve your skills required to become a business professional, right? Now, when it comes to
Yeah.
interest and passion, uh, let's say you are a civil engineer, right? And if building bridges and houses is what you love, then you should rather go for an MS or an MTech than an MBA.
That's
When
true.
it
Yeah.
comes to financial viability, I don't think it's too much of a challenge nowadays because a lot of scholarships available, there are a lot of options for taking bank loans. So there are more opportunities for students to back themselves up, only that they need to do that wisely, right? Now, in my
Yeah.
case, at least the starting point was that I sort of realized that engineering is not my thing. And when I looked at other options, MBA was the one I could relate to the most because I've always been curious about how businesses work, how they run, how different companies promote their brands and products and services, right? So for me, it was more about switching from engineering to something that works for me better, something that I'm more interested in. So yeah, so these are the 2-3 factors that you should consider before you decide whether you want to do an MBA or not.
Yes, that was some very useful piece of information, sir. So thank you for that. Moving on, could you shed some light on how exactly would an interested candidate know whether to pursue an MBA in India or abroad?
Okay, I mean, well, Avikil, it primarily depends on one's own priorities and preferences, I would say. But there are definitely
Right.
a few basic things that you could look at, right? Uh,
Yeah.
MBA and MBA abroad does provide a lot of opportunities. It does have it does provide you with a lot of opportunities or different sort of an exposure, such as cross cultural exposure, opportunity to travel outside, more credible institutes. If you look at the Harvards and Oxfords of the world, right? So it does
Yeah.
provide a lot of opportunities, but at the same time, there are a lot of institutes. If you talk about IIMs and other top institutes in India, which provide tremendous opportunities as well, right? For instance,
Yes, that's true.
if you look at placement in India, almost every institute tries to get every student placed, right? Whereas abroad, they will guide you, but you have to find a job on your own, right? And further, IIMs and other institutes in India also provide something called an academic exchange program, using which you will be able to spend a whole term in a foreign university, and during the same term, you have foreign students coming to your campus as well. And I mean, honestly, most of the students utilize this opportunity to travel as much as they can because it's sort of a unique opportunity. And I was in the Grenoble University, which was in Grenoble, France, which is a very small town. And those 3 to 3.5 months was quite an experience for me because that gave me exposure to foreign countries. I traveled to 15 plus countries, 20 plus cities, saw different cultures, uh, all of that. So you basically have to look at all these permutations and combinations and see what kind of fits your preferences. And obviously you also have to look at the financial viability factor as well, uh, because that's one of the most critical factors. But as I said, in the case of an Indian MBA or an MBA abroad, if you are able to find the right scholarships, if you are able to back yourself up with the right kind of support, I think it honestly doesn't matter whether you do it in India or abroad. So yeah, so those are my thoughts.
Right, right. Talking about MBA in India, we know that the Common Admission Test, also referred to as CAT, is an entrance examination for admissions in some top B schools in India, such as the various IIMs, ISB, XLRI, and etc. Could you tell us about your preparation strategy for CAT and how exactly did you carry it out for the different sections in the examination, such as verbal ability and reading comprehension, data interpretation, and logical reasoning?
Yeah, Amikal, I think it's all about identifying your strengths and weaknesses and
Yeah,
focusing more time and effort on your weak areas. Personally, for me, I was good at math, I was good at quantitative aptitude, I was also good at data interpretation and logical reasoning. But my abilities in VA were not that great, or as it is called VARC, verbal ability and reading comprehension today. I
yeah.
was not that good at it. So I really had to spend time, work hard, reading newspapers, practicing a lot of comprehension, improving my vocabulary to sort of get to a reasonable level of confidence, right? And
Yes.
when it comes to CAT, speed is absolutely critical, regardless of the section, be it QA, be it DILR, comprehension. any of those, speed is absolutely critical. You have to be able to find your answers in the shortest time possible, right? And one
That's
of the
true.
most common questions that I get asked is whether somebody should go for a coaching or self prep, right? And what I believe is that if someone has the drive and motivation to do it on his or her own, he can pretty much do that. He could resort to all the online resources or offline resources available and do the preparation on his own. But if somebody feels that he or she lacks the confidence and the drive to kind of prepare it on their own, they should opt for a coaching, is what I believe. And I went to Time Trivandrum for my CAT coaching, since that was the
Right.
closest coaching center for me, and I did my graduation in College of Engineering Trivandrum. So I went there, and coaching in a sense provides you direction. It provides you a sense of it provides you guidance. Also, above all, it provides you peer company also. So you're in a company of people who are working towards the same goal, working hard as you are. So it kind of helps you keep motivated. So these are the differences between coaching and self prep. In short, basically, it's about you finding what you're good at, what you're not good at, and working on those weak areas.
Yes. That was very informative. And we all know that the next step after CAT are the interview and the group discussion rounds, right? So could you tell us which IIMs did you get a call from? And do certain IIMs follow a specific pattern of questions or focus in any particular domain from which they pick up these questions?
Okay. Uh, okay, to start with, I got calls from all the IIMs except IIM Ahmedabad, and I converted all of them. And honestly speaking, it's
That's
very
great.
hard to say that. Yeah, so honestly speaking, it's very hard to say that uh, a specific IIM follows a particular pattern of questions, right? They make it as unpredictable as possible, as uncertain as possible, and it varies year on year, day to day, and even from one candidate to the next. Just to put things in perspective, right? I would like to share one of my own experiences, and this was during my
Definitely.
I am Lucknow interview, and I was sitting
Okay.
outside the interview room, and uh, as my previous candidate walked out of the interview room, I asked him what sort of questions he was asked. Then he said they were they were asking about his ambitions, why he would want to get into the business world, his work experience, etc. Right? And I was okay, like I was prepared. Okay, I will also be prepared to address some of these type of questions. But to my surprise, probably since I'm from Kerala, they were asking about culture, tourism, and more interestingly, they were even asking me what are the similarities between West Bengal and Kerala, which I sort of managed to answer. But so you get the point, right? They don't let you identify that pattern, but at the same time, there are a few basic things you could cover. It's not that you just walk into an interview, right? You have to do some prep. So
Yes.
you could prepare for basic common questions like why an MBA, uh, what are your strengths and weaknesses, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line, all those basic questions you could actually prepare for. And what is more important is to make your answers honest and unique, right? Connect your answers
True.
to your life, your dreams, your ambitions, the sort of background you come from. Make your answers as genuine as possible, right? And that is what will help you stand out from the crowd. Instead of giving generic and common answers, make them unique to you. So that's the way to go, I believe, when it comes to the interviews. Yeah.
That's that's great. Yeah. So it would have definitely been a proud moment for you and your family to know that you had converted IIM Bangalore, which is like a dream college for lakhs of students interested in MBA. What were your reactions when you got the results? And take us through the struggles and the roadblocks that you had to clear and go through to reach this level.
Oh yeah, I mean, I should tell you that it was definitely a moment of pride and joy. My parents, my siblings, my friends, all of them were excited. And I come from a very small town in Kerala. Coming from such a background,
Yeah.
to be able to stand in front of people and speak confidently in English was itself like an achievement for me, right? And I studied in
Yeah.
English medium school where during the English period, the teacher himself would not speak in English, right? So I really had to work hard on my communication, my confidence level, and most of the time I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, right? And I had to sort of evolve into more like a problem solver than somebody who's mugging up concepts and theories. And in the interviews, I really had to convince the interviewers that I had to cross a mountain of struggles and challenges to get there, and I had to convey it in my own unique way. And the good thing about IMB is that they respect cultural values, they respect diversity, they respect uniqueness, right? So they look at not just your CAT score or how well your pronunciation is, they look at a multitude of factors which include diversity and the background you're brought up in, all of that, and make a
Yeah.
decision. And I think that background and my story is probably the prominent reason for my selection at IMB, is what I think. Yeah, so essentially converting IIM Bangalore was like probably the happiest moments of my one of I would say one of the happiest moments of my life.
Yes, sir. I really must say that it was such an inspiring story to hear from you. And this is where peer support comes into picture because one of peer support's main objectives is to recognize the hardships students face and the challenges
Mhm.
they face and help them and inspire them to continue working hard, whether it is for competitive exams or whether it is tackling mental health problems, whatever it is. We we understand and recognize the difficulties that students face, our entire student community faces, and we inspire them to continue working hard. So I'm sure with the help of your inspiring story, many would have been motivated towards achieving their goals. So thanks a lot for that, sir.
Thanks a lot, Avital.
Moving on to life after CAT. How was your experience at IIM Bangalore? What was the student environment like, actually? And a couple of other questions as well. How were the faculties and of course, what extracurricular activities does the college encourage the students to indulge in?
Okay, that's a lot of questions. Okay, so I'll try to address one by one and let me know if I miss out anything.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure,
the
sure.
campus provides a lot of opportunities for students to grow. Courses spanning across
Right.
different business functions, faculties who are experts in their own fields, and even students who come from a very diverse set of background and different levels of knowledge and experience. And there are a lot of
Right.
clubs in almost every area you could think of. Like there are clubs in marketing, finance, operations, entrepreneurship. Some clubs provide you opportunities to do live projects, interact with industry leaders and all. And it's a very competitive environment, right? Because you're with some of the best brains, best minds in the country.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a competitive environment, but I believe there is a space for everyone. There are opportunities for everyone. And the thing that I loved the most about IMB was you always find people you could look up to. One,
Yes.
so they
Yes.
could be your professors, industry leaders who come to the campus to deliver talks, or sometimes your peers also. And one
Yes.
of my, just to give you an example, one of my favorite courses in IMB was communication. And after 4.5 years of my life in the business world, I realized how critical verbal and written communication ease. And the course was taken by Professor Ragesh Godwani, and I still go back
Yes.
and listen to some of his YouTube videos where he interacts and delivers sessions to different students, right? So you will find such people whom you could learn from, who would inspire you, who would leave such a great deal of impact in your life, right? So the campus provides different types of opportunities in different forms. It's sort of up to you to find out those avenues that fit you the most and make use of them, leverage them to improve yourself as a better individual.
Right. That's great. Now, once that you had graduated from IIM Bangalore, can you tell us what were your immediate plans and how exactly did IMB help in shaping those plans?
Okay, so as I've mentioned in the beginning, I joined Hexaware Technologies, and to be honest, it did take
Yes.
some time for me to kind of anchor my feet. I did not right away after joining Hexaware, I did not realize, or I did not know whether marketing was something that I wanted to pursue and do for the rest of my life. It took me time over the 2, 3 years of my initial career. I kind of realized that okay, this is something, marketing is something that I love, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. So some of the basic concepts that I learned in IMB, it did help. I was able to apply them. But more than what I could learn from textbooks, it was classroom discussions during projects, peer-to-peer interactions, presentations, experiencing taking part in competitions. It's all of these. It's a combination of all of these which help me help me evolve as a better individual, I would say. So as I took over a new role in a company that I spoke about, econ systems, here I'm in a leadership role. I still apply some of my learnings that I got from IMB. I should admit to that. So yes, I'm still on that journey, and I am sure there are a lot of other areas where I could apply some of my learnings and experiences from IMB going ahead.
Right. I mean, it was very great to hear that because even I love marketing a lot, in fact.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, talking about econ systems,
Yeah,
you
please become
recently
a
joined.
marketer, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I'll. Yes, I will. So as I was saying, you recently joined econ systems as the head of marketing, right? So congratulations for that, sir. And yeah, can you tell us about this whole new experience now in this organization?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was quite a transition, I would say. In Hexaware, where I was working as marketing analytics lead, I was working with a team of 3 members, but their individual contribution mattered the most.
Right,
Here in Econ Systems, I manage a team of 12 plus people, and I follow what is called as uh, the TIPS framework for leadership, which is a framework that I devised, which would help me become successful as a leader. T stands for team outcome, I stands for individual contribution, P stands for people, and S stands for strategy. And if you look at individual contribution and strategy, it's it's all about you. It's about how well I perform, how well I contribute as an individual. But if you look at the other two tenets of the framework, which are team outcome and people, it's about how well I enable the team to perform at their optimum to produce the desired business results, right? So I've even written an article about this framework, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it was a transition from a managerial to a leadership sort of a role, and I'm looking forward to the more challenges to come.
yeah, that's really great, and we really hope for the best in your future. So this brings us to the end of our podcast session. Before we close, is there one very valuable suggestion you would want to give to our listeners interested in the management field?
Okay, I would have two, in fact. And the first one might sound like cliche, but that's something that I've realized over my 4+ years of experience in the corporate world, which is keep learning, right?
Yeah.
Whichever role you are
Right.
in, whichever company you are in, it doesn't matter. You have to make use of all the resources, all the avenues you have to learn as much as you can in the shortest time possible. And that's what gonna help you over the long term also. Even in my case,
Yes.
my transition from a managerial to a leadership role was possible only because I had spent enough time learning marketing, various concepts. Uh, I learned quite a lot from the discussions that used to happen in the company, in my previous
Yeah.
company. So all of that contributed to my learning, my wealth of knowledge, my experience, and that's how I'm right now able to take up that new challenge and lead a 12 plus member team, I believe. So keep learning, keep doing that. And the
Yes.
second piece of advice is, and I'm able to talk about the second piece because I come from such a different background, and which is, it's okay if you have not realized your passion today, right now, right? Even before you
Yeah.
join your masters, and or even after you have landed your first job, it's okay that you have not found what's the thing that you love the most, right? And if you have found your passion, it's well and good, but if you haven't, it is still fine. Take the time to reflect, evaluate, think about it, and don't hurry into decisions. As I said, take the time to understand what skills you have, what skills you can work on improving, and what is it that you would love to do. And it's okay. I took 2 to 3 years to realize that. So it's okay if you take that time to do it. There is nothing wrong in it. But eventually, the decision you make, if that's the right one, that's what will lead you to success. So those are two uh, pieces of, I wouldn't say advice, but two thoughts from my end.
Right. So thank you for the valuable piece of suggestion. So I'm pretty sure this would be very helpful to everyone listening to our podcast. And I would want to thank you on behalf of our entire peer support organization and our audience from NITK and beyond. It was really wonderful having you on board. Hope we can do more of these in the future. Thanks a lot again, sir.
Thanks a lot, Avikal. It has been a pleasure talking to you, and to the NITK community. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You could follow me on Twitter. If you search for Naseef KPO, I'm the only person with that name in the world, I believe. So you could easily find me. So don't hesitate to reach out. I write quite actively on LinkedIn, and I'm active on Twitter also. So please feel free to reach out in case you're looking for some support. Thanks, Avikal. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, sir.